Hey everybody, welcome back to Cam's Flies. I'm Cam, and today we're going to be tying up a Skwala Nymph variant. I plan on doing a few different variants and uploading these on my website for sale, so keep your eyes out for more of them. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with an Arex hook. This is FW531 and a size 10. Get this situated in my Renzetti vise and start with some lead. The lead wire I'm using is 0.015 or 15 thousandths. I find it a lot easier to get my wraps nice and tight and situated using the Flysmith Hackle Shackles. I get about 12 wraps in there. Get everything nice and tight and compressed. Don't leave any voids between the lead wire. And to secure the lead wire, I'll be using Wapsi Fly Tires Z-Ment. Very generous when applying this. It's okay if you have excess. You'll see here that I come in with a rag and get the bulk of it off, but it fills in all the gaps nicely and secures things very well. And first thread I'll be using here is a Flysmith GSP in 20 denier, the color Chartreuse. Start it in just in front of the lead wire. Get a nice little thread base and tie in well into the bend. And I'm using Overton's Wonder Wax here for my dubbing, using the color Olive from Wapsi, the Awesome Possum dubbing. I have a bit too much here. I will pull some off, which I did off camera. Shortened up my noodle a little bit. I don't need too much here on this little dubbing ball. This is just for my splaying out my Biots. Get these little fuzzies out of the way. And the Biots I'll be using are from Crosswater Creek out here in Lafayette, California. A great little fly shop just opened. These are blue-winged olive color Biots. Get these situated just in front of that dubbing ball. Get it nice and tight up against it, and then work my way up the hook. Typically I'd clip the Biots off if there was any excess right at the lead wire, but there wasn't any. The wire I'll be using is a UTC Ultra wire in the color Chartreuse. This is extra small. It's a very, very fine wire. This stuff breaks very easily just by pulling on it. So I started on the far side of the hook, just behind the lead wire. Tie it all the way back to the Biots, come back up to the lead wire, and I'll be adding on my Midge tubing in the color Peacock. Start that just behind the lead wire. does not have to be perfect. These gaps will be filled in with a secondary thread to build the body and taper. So get that tied in to just behind the biots, just like the wire. And for that tubing, I tied that in on the top of the hook. Worked my thread up to the front of the hook, tied it off, cut it off, and here I am adding in a 144 denier flysmith thread in the color olive. This thread is I'm using just to build the body and a bit of a taper. Once I'm happy with the taper, it's nice and smooth, I tie that, half hitch it, cut that away, come back in with the Flysmith 20 denier GSP and Chartreuse. Clip that tag end away. And then half hitch so I can start wrapping my materials in. Here I am wrapping in the tubing first. I'm doing close touching wraps. I do not want this to overlap. I want the wire to sit nice and snug between each of these tubing wraps. So once I get about 7 segments, I work my thread towards the tubing and tie it down and cut away my excess. Make sure everything is secure, double check it, and then half hitch. Toss my bobbin in my bobbin cradle and move on to the wire. When applying my wire, I don't know if you noticed, I like to take the wire between the skin of my thumb and my index fingernail, and I drag my fingernail over the wire to straighten any micro kinks out that you may not be able to see. It works really well when you're doing copper johns and you want to get that nice tight looking wire wrap. You see here I wrapped this wire well up the hook just to add a little bit of extra weight. This is extra fine wire, so it may not do a whole lot, but every little bit counts. Here I'm just securing down that wire a bit more, and just before I add in my vinyl rib and Midge and color Chartreuse, I will tie this in on the top of the hook shank, just at the front of the lead wire. And work my way back, and as I work back, I will add tension to the vinyl rib and pull on it slightly. Really cinch things down, tighten it up, and then you can check. What I'm doing here is I'm checking to make sure my vinyl rib is in line with the eye of my hook, just to make sure it's centered on the top of my hook. And here is the Flysmith Latex and Neon Green. This will be the middle layer of the wing case. Get that started. Try to get that centered as possible. I had to back it off there to kind of redo things just to get it right. And just like I did with the vinyl rib, line it up with your hook eye just to make sure things are centered. Here I am using, for the bottom portion of the wing case, Flysmith GatorBack in green, and I colored it with a Sharpie. This is a dark green Sharpie that I used to color it. And get that secured onto the hook. Make sure there is an even amount of GatorBack on each side. Secure it down and then move on to the legs, which is the Lively Legs, size medium, and the color is Attractor green. I will place the back tab, the front portion of the back tab, right up against the GatorBack and tie it down. Now these things can be moved around, you see here. And just like I moved it there, even after this thing is completely tied down, it still has quite a bit of play to it. And you can still wiggle and move it around and you know, get things placed in right where you want them. So don't be concerned that after you have them tied in, that's where they're locked at, because you can still move them around. So I'll be working on the back of the wing case here and making my first dubbing ball. This is still the same color of dubbing that I used earlier, the color olive from the Wapsi Awesome Possum. Clip some of that stuff away so it doesn't get in the way of my legs. Now I'll secure my latex. And I like to, when I'm securing these wing case materials, I get a nice tie down section all the way up to the next legs in front, and then I tie everything back, and that helps give a nice little wing case effect. I used to just tie it down and not tie them all the way up to the next set of legs, and I liked the look of this a lot better. I feel like the thread doesn't show between the wing cases. Just get all that mashed down. And also by doing that, you're adding some bulk, so you're also using less dubbing when you're applying that on. Because when you're doing a ton of dubbing, it can get real tedious and real old real fast. You start getting arthritis in your index finger knuckle. I'm just going to kind of speed through this. You kind of saw how I did the first section of the wing case. There's a lot of playing around with these skins because they want to get wrapped around your bobbin. So have some patience. Working through my last wing case section here. Tie off my wing case materials in front of my legs. There we go. And if you have too much dubbing there, it really wants to, the fibers want to grab a hold of the legs, so you gotta watch it. That's why I try to stay on top of trimming them out of the way. There we go. We are looking good. Ready for some eyes now. Be using Berkeley Big Game Mono 25 pound. This is color green. It didn't have quite the green color I was hoping for after melting them, but it still turned out pretty cool. Using a little fish lighter that I received as a gift. These eyes, I cut them down to where I have about 1/4 inch of mono sticking out of my tweezers on each side, and then melt them, and that usually gives me the best results that I've found, at least. Then go ahead and get them secured right in front of that first wing case. And after that gets in nice and secured, we can move on to our antenna material, which is Happy Javelina Peccary in olive green. Start tying these in. These I kind of took a minute to find ones that matched. I wanted to make sure the gradient in the color was even from the brown to the green. So trying to find just the right ones can be kind of a pain in the butt. Once you get them both pretty secured, go ahead and clip out that excess. And then I like to hit it with a dab of glue. I used a bit too much right there, so I wipe it off with a towel. And move back on to the dubbing for building our head. I like to get some wraps of this dubbing between the antenna. Oh, need some more dubbing there. There we go. Weaved it between the antenna. Now we're ready to tie that off. snug it up, cut it off. I'll really groom this fly up, get all these excess fuzzies off. And once you feel like it's groomed to your satisfaction, you can come on in with your fingernails and give the antenna a little curve by running it through your fingernail and the skin of your thumb, just like I did with the wire earlier. So to add a little bit of durability and sheen, I'm using Sally Hansen's Crystal Clear. This is the number 800. I've always been told the 800, that's the real stuff, so get that. Add a little bit of head cement, finish the fly off, and there it is. The Skwala Nymph variant. I hope you guys all like it. If you do, hit that like button. Maybe even hit that follow button to see more content like this. And I hope to see y'all on the next one. Keep your bobbins loaded.